Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I would do a stitch and chat while I work on this temperature tree project, and this is being hosted by Craft and Journey. Her name is Rebecca, and sadly I only got up to January 16th, which was a Sunday. So I've got to do, this is all January, then that's February, and March is up there. So let's get to it, and while we do it, we can talk about how I organize. Now, I have the most deplorable handwriting, but what I've been doing, just move this out the way for a minute, is in my planner, just writing the temps there, and what I had been, there goes my pen. What I had been doing is crossing out the days that, let me just pick up my pen, that I had stitched. So I am going to start on January 17th. And I think I've got everything organized. So let's bring this back so that you can see it. And then we can just talk about whatever. I am not skilled with whipping chats or stitching chats. So the best that I can offer you is just to tell you what's going on in my life and how I have risen from the ashes like a phoenix. If you're new to my channel, I want to say thank you for joining, subscribing, and if you are a long-time subscriber, I want to thank you for sticking with me through the difficult times that I experienced. Now, I think I had a sense of FOMO, fear of missing out. So I got very involved in a Zoom community that started off mostly diamond painters and then segued into, I'm just going to drink coffee while I chat with you, segued into a lot of cross stitchers. And once I decided to cross stitch, I'm just trying to pull my thread, my floss rather. Once I decided to cross stitch around the end of October, I got more fully invested in Zoom than ever before because I had 1,000,001 questions because I wanted to do 1,000,001 projects. I am not a serial starter. I do finish what I start, but I am also not someone who can just focus on one thing. I wouldn't quite say I have ADD or ADHD, but I think I'm kind of there in a lot of respects. And so I like to have multiple things going on in my life as far as all of my hobbies are concerned. So the first thing that I had to do, whoops, I just dropped my needle. First I dropped my pen, then I dropped my needle. I am 2 for 2, so we'll just get a fresh needle. I did try to get all of my tools ready so that I wouldn't have to look for things while I'm doing this, because I'm doing this on my Windows computer and I don't have an editing program that I'm familiar with yet. So if I were to do this on my iPad, I could edit it, which I do a lot of editing when I do book-related content. So I have to have everything in front of me because I can't edit this video. So you're going to take the good with the bad with this. So anyway, okay, so let me, before I continue, on January 17th, it was 39 degrees, and that is this gray. And the stitches are, I just have Pattern Keeper behind me. Let's find out where January 17th is. 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay, so 17th is from that long leg there. Bear with me one moment. Okay, so I love to do multiple things. I have multiple hobbies, and I am mostly reading and cross-stitching, and now I am also diamond painting. I'm working on a Chuck Pinson diamond painting. Just want to make sure I start this one in the right spot, which as soon as I put the stitch in, I realized I didn't. So I am trying to not only rotate my hobbies in a fair manner, but also trying to rotate the projects. So rotating the hobbies as well as rotating the projects. And rotating the hobbies has got to take on some significance because I haven't given any love to my jigsaw puzzles. And I wanted to work on the Rainbow series from Cobble Hill. So I've got to schedule that in. And I do have the Wheel app on my phone. And with that app, I did separate my hobbies, but I just haven't respected the app. So with that being said, I am focusing mostly on setting up various cross stitch projects because I'm doing several stitch alongs, and I was working with the Zoom. That's why I started the conversation with. I was working with a lot of the people on Zoom with some of the projects that I was going to do for 2022, but I was excluded from that community, and in a not so nice way. I want to make sure I didn't bring. Okay, I'm going to just put this over one, and I kind of thought I got left out in the cold with regard to this new love of cross stitching, but I had a very, very hard time adapting to a sudden change in my daily life. So I did have some time to ruminate while I was in the hospital because my depression reached a pinnacle and I wasn't safe being home. I lost my will and I lost my way. And the day that I went into the hospital, now this isn't going to be a negative video, this is going to tell you how much I love cross stitching. I had made a huge order with 1-2-3 Stitch. I mean, we're talking like $125 order. I had spent all day Thursday off and on stitching and compiling this huge order. When I say huge, I mean over 100 skeins of floss and some fabric. So I ended up going into the hospital. So while I was in the hospital, I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I didn't put that order in because I'm not going to cross stitch anymore. I give up. And that's how I felt like I was going to roll. I wasn't going to stitch anymore. But I had a couple of days. I think I was in there for 3 days. And I can see that this is 1, 2, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. January 14th and January 17th are going to touch. But hey, and with real trees, leaves touch, right? So anyway, I thought, when I get home, I'm going to press send on that order. I'm going to process this huge order, and I am not going to give up cross stitching. Why would I even think about giving up cross stitching? Because not only was I kicked out of Zoom, but I was removed from several chats in some Facebook groups connected to all of these stitch alongs. So I had to reevaluate who I was stitching for. And I love how my therapist says it. He said something so simple to me last Monday. And he said, cross stitching is not the problem. And I was writing in my planner, so I was looking down, and he repeated, cross stitching is not the problem. And I'm like, Mark, what do you mean? And he said, cross stitching is not the problem. He repeated it for a third time. And he was right. Cross stitching was not the problem. It was the people who didn't share the same values that I have, and I just pulled my floss out. And it was these people that had destroyed or attempted to destroy my soul. So if cross-stitching wasn't the problem, now this is a month and a half after the fact that I'm having this conversation with my therapist last week. But I guess I had come to this conclusion myself because when I arrived home from the hospital that Monday, the very first thing I did after, like, just, you know, uh, putting my feet on the ground, so to speak, I went ahead and processed that order. Yes, I did. I processed the order, and I now was going to wait for that order to come in. And then I made I think I can show you. I'm going to move this out of the way for the moment. On the Wheel app, let's see, where is it? Spin app, I guess. Spin the wheel. Down here, I made, okay, this is my hobbies one. Whoops, I'm not even showing you. Okay. In this Spin the Wheel app, a couple months ago, I made a hobbies one, but I wasn't respecting that, like I said. But just before I had gone into the hospital, I did do a cross stitch wheel. I'm trying to show you guys. And I had all these projects that I had started to collate just before I went into the hospital. So I'm home now. My big 1, 2, 3 stitch order has been processed, and I had to take stock in whether or not I was going to continue stitching and navigate. Okay, now I need 30 degrees for the 18th, and that is 3/16. So I am not going for 45. It's 597. Okay, so we are going to park to the side. I am not going to bother to unload the needles right now. All right, so 30 degrees. Oh, by the way, this is what I'm working with. This I gotta move this out the way. I'm working with the varied temperatures, and these are the colors. So January 18th was 30 degrees. So I need DMC 316. So that's what I'm looking at. So I have this wheel, and it looks like I didn't pull 316, which is like a reddish color. Let's find it. And I have these projects, and okay, I'm going to continue to cross stitch. So I literally cross stitched that day, even though I wasn't involved with anybody, but I had a saving grace, and that saving grace is my friend Fashawn Quinn, who used to cross stitch for years but hadn't cross stitched in a long time. So between her and my friend Danielle, I was able to ask, because I am the woman of 1,000 questions, and I kind of think that was part of my problem, is I asked too many questions. I just was too talkative. So I decided to get back into the projects, and I don't think since I have been home from the hospital, I have missed a single day of stitching. A single day. Now, as an example, Saturday, just 2 days ago, today's Sunday, Friday, 2 days ago, I did not feel well, so I only stitched a few hundred stitches, but that was I guess I would consider that, I like to use thread magic, I guess I would consider that a slow day, but I haven't missed any stitching days. As a matter of fact, I embarked on a bunch of other projects in addition to what I was already doing. So I said we're doing January 18th. I should cross these out as I do them so that I don't mess up. So January 17th is done. I'm doing January 18th, and that's going to be this leg right here. So I started to continue to work on the projects that I was working on, and then some new ones. So as I mentioned, my friend Sean, I was going to her with the questions that I was spitting out in Zoom or in the chats, and she told me about this company called the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery, And so the rabbit hole that I had jumped down, okay, I just have to move this other floss. I don't want them to cross. Excuse me a minute. I just want to uncross them. Okay. Sorry about that. I just had to uncross that. So as if I didn't already have enough going on, I hear about Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. And my list of projects went from 10 to maybe 12. And let's just say right now we're looking at about 20 or 22 because of Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. Meanwhile, I had gotten my Just Cross Stitch magazine, so there was something in there I wanted to do. So yeah. Oh, wait a minute. I'm having trouble with this park thread, which I have been parking for like a week, and I never had a problem until just now. So I am going to fix this once and for all. Yeah. Okay. So now I've got everything that I was already doing, and then a cell that I was waiting to start, which was the new cell that I wanted to start from Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery, which was Little Red Riding Hood. Then there was just so many, and I have been having a blast. I am right here. So I have been having a blast. I have been stitching non-stop. I mean, we're talking non-stop. And I have made a really nice rotation, and all through February I rotated my projects. I think by the end of February I had successfully worked on perhaps I'd say a dozen projects that I rotated throughout the month, and you'll see that reflected in one of my FlossTube videos. So now March is coming in. I mean, today's only March 6th, and I now have the Little Red Riding Hood Sal along with the Taylor's Overtime Sal, this Temperature Sal, Stitch Along, and Long Dog Sampler, and then I started another Long Dog Sampler, and I am just ecstatic about what I'm doing. I love cross stitching. I don't know if you saw this, but I even learned to loop in the front. I learned how to park, even though I just crossed my floss a couple times, but that's more so because I'm working through a magnifier and I don't have my pattern right in front of me like I would ordinarily. I don't usually stitch with the magnifying glass, but I'm doing that so I can kind of see everything while I talk to you guys. So meanwhile, I took most of February off reading. I think I read 22 books in February compared to 50 or 60, and I started binge watching a bunch of shows on television. Why did I binge watch? Well, because of all the time I was spending in Zoom, I wasn't watching my shows. I don't know why that is so bulky right there. Just need to look at this. It could be because I'm going through the magnifier. Or there could be some, yeah, there's a piece of lint. Yeah, there we go. So I wasn't watching my shows, and I say my shows because I have a bunch of series that I like that I hadn't been watching because I was always on Zoom. So during February, I would read a little and watch a lot. Read a little, watch a lot of TV. A lot of TV. So I binge watched and caught up. I had to go back to last season for most of my shows, and I think I'm down to 3 shows left. The 3 shows that I will have to catch up on is SWAT, New Amsterdam and The Resident. And after I catch up with those three, I will be on time for my series. So that's what I did in February. Now here we are in March. I think that's all we need is 6 stitches for this one. So we are going to just move this floss like I did the other one. Hang on, before I continue that thought, let's see, the next day was 45 degrees, and 45 degrees would be 597. So I lost my thought. So now we're into March. I'm almost caught up on my shows, and I wanted to get back on my reading. So I came up with a very hefty reading schedule. I'm just going to grab something out of the printer. And with this hefty reading schedule, I decided to do something more. On the one hand, with regard back to stitching really quickly, I joined the March Stitchy Madness, which is to work on 8 projects, pare them down to 4, down to 2, and then to complete 1 throughout the month. Well, in that vein, there's also a March Mystery Madness for reading. So when I set up the March Stitchy Madness for cross stitching, I also set up the March Mystery Madness for my March books. So I came up with a massive TBR, and TBR is to be read. And what I had to do, not had to do, but what I chose to do, okay, we're looking at 45 degrees for the 20th, so 16, 17, no, am I on the 20th? Oh, no, I'm on the 19th. So I had to come up with 17, 18, 19, okay. So I kind of wish I had gone up here, but we're just going to come here. So I decided to do this March Mystery Madness and to combine my TBRs in a certain way. Now, the reason I went to the printer, first thing I had to do is to grab, I printed this on black and white, is to grab my blog tour schedule for March. As you can see, March dates, maybe. I don't know if you can see that. And also my April books, and put them in chronological order. Then the March Mystery Madness, which is 2 by 2, and my print books. So I want to do all of this in March. So my goal is simply to read maybe 45 books in March, not my 50 or 60, and that equals a book and a half a day. And I'm not there because today is the 6th and I've only read 5 books. So I'm not quite there, but that's my goal for March. I just want to secure this tail and not mess up my other flosses. There we go. So I made some videos and lined up some of the books I want to read over the next couple of months from NetGalley. I also made some videos about some print books, like I did bring 2 because I want to read a few chapters in these 2 today. I want to read Start Hope by Jane Goodall and The Book of Moods by Lauren Martin. So I'll get like a few chapters read in each of those today. And I am working on my list of books for March Mystery Madness. So I am getting my feet back on the ground. I'm feeling really good. Look at the difference in the weather. Look at that. Can you see that? No, you can't. Let's make it so that you can see it. Let's see if I can bring this down. I don't know why it looks so dark. It's not dark in here at all, but I now have all this exciting stuff going on And then I'm also making my floss tube videos, my content videos regarding my blog, working on my blog tours, and I'm still catching up on my television shows. Then back to cross stitching with regard to Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. I found out that what they do with their stitch-alongs, and I'm talking about their 2021 stitch-alongs in particular, what they do with their stitch-alongs is they become series. So I purchased some as part of a series. So I purchased 3 more kits. So now I have 4 kits with Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. 3 were full kits, and 1 was an order I made from 1 to 3 Stitch. And with the order I made from 1 to 3 Stitch, it completed the 4th kit. And then I decided to whoops, I brought in some pink. Get out of there. I do have a snag nabbit if I need to. So I decided I will be rotating in the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery kits. Though they are, let's see, Cozy Cafe, Maple Lane, Under the Sea, and Little Red Riding Hood. Now, Under the Sea, I think will probably be the first in a new series, but it's Maple Lane, Little Red Riding Hood, and Cozy Cafe that make up a series. And then Under the Sea begins in April, and that's a 2022 stitch along, so I wouldn't be surprised if that eventually became part of a series. Sorry if you can't see what I'm doing. And then I discovered they have a fairy tale series. And then I discovered they have a seasons series. So there's 2 more series that I want to get. Fairy tale has 3, and the seasons has 4, you know, winter, spring, summer, and fall. So that's 7 more patterns that I plan on buying from Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. Now, sorry you heard my hubby sneeze. I want to just, I want you to see a little bit more. There we go. So I will be rotating in quite a few Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery projects. I don't intend on working on all of them at the same time because there's other projects that I want to work on. Like I have a couple of cat cross stitch patterns that I want to do, and I have the one from the Just Cross Stitch magazine that I want to do. So those will take a little bit of precedence over the newer Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery ones that I want to do. So here's my plan. Every morning, not yesterday because I was really ill yesterday, my pain level was extremely high, and the fatigue was so bad I was slurring my words. Yesterday wasn't a great day, but usually every morning I get up and I will diamond paint for 3.5 hours while I listen to a Kindle book on Kindle text-to-speech. So I will literally listen to a book from beginning to end while I diamond paint. Now, what am I diamond painting? I am diamond painting Spring Mountain Majesty, which is a Chuck Pinson for the Chuck Along. I think it's Chuck Along 5, and that's by, who's doing Chuck Along? Mindy's Craft Corner, I think, or Mindy's Diamond Painting, and Maritza. Mindy and Maritza. So I am doing that. So every day I try to listen to a book and diamond paint, with the exception of yesterday because, like I said, it was a pain day and it was a fatigue day. So I have that on my agenda, and then I go in my kitchen and I make dinner or plan dinner, and then by afternoon, late afternoon, because my husband, he works the second shift, so that's why I go in the kitchen midday. I want to get some coffee. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me jump ahead for a second. We're moving to the 20th, which is 29 degrees. And that is 316. Did I bring out 316? Yes, I did. Yeah, I kept it on my needle. So I'm just going to raise this so I can flip my thingy. So what was I saying? I lost my thought. Oh, so I make dinner or plan it, like whether I have to marinate something or put something in the Instant Pot or crock pot or air fryer. And then I go in the room and I set out my cross stitching. So what am I cross stitching? Well, I'm not talking about right now, but remember I mentioned I'm doing the March Stitchy Madness. So with the March Stitchy Madness, I said it was 29 degrees for the 20th, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So for the March Stitchy Madness, I have 8 projects, and I worked on 4, I believe, and because I started a day late. And of the 4, like I just want to show you, because obviously I'm not going to catch up on my temperature stitch while we're here. I'm about to end the video because it's just going long, but in my planner, we can open it to March. I do have a grid, but in my planner, like I said, I started a day late, so I worked on the Autism Project, and I did 601 stitches on the second. Then Love of Two Hearts, 615. So I have an asterisk because that means that this moves on to round 2 because it beat it out by 14 stitches. Then over here, I worked on Birdhouses and Laundry Cat for legs 3 and 4 for the first phase. And Birdhouses, I gave it an asterisk because that was 675 and Laundry Cat was 589. So that's going to move on to the next phase. And then today is Sunday. So today I'm going to be working on Crossword. And then I will tomorrow work on Leslie J. Tear Winter Spring. So whichever gets the most amount of stitches moves on to the next round. So we're going to end it here. I'm going to continue to stitch. I am going to at least get through January and mostly I'm just actually not even going to get up from this spot. I'm just going to finish this and catch up. But that's everything that I'm doing with cross stitching, some diamond painting, like I said, the Chuck Pinson for the Chuck Along. I'm doing the March Stitchy Madness with that's Steel City Stitchers. I'm doing the March Mystery Madness, which I think is Lizzie Faye Loves Books and a bunch of other hosts. I'm working on my print books, and I'm also working on my blog tours, and I am working on making content for this channel. If you are watching me regularly, you'll see that I have a video about an upcoming giveaway once I reach 1,000 subscribers, and that's going well. The numbers are not slowly, but rather quickly rising, at least for me, for what I'm used to seeing on this channel. So I have that coming up, and that's about it. Just all fun stuff. So I'm going to end it here. I only got a few days in. I only got these 3 days in. It's not looking like the picture because it looks like I should have gone up a little bit. I could have put a couple of ones up there. So, but I'll get all 31 days. This is all going to be January. This whole branch here is January. This up here is February, and March is up. Let's see, March is up there. So I'm going to get it done. But I want to thank you for your time. Hopefully this stitch with me wasn't a total mess, and if I get a fairly decent amount of views on it, then I'll do more. But for now, I want to thank you for watching. Bye-bye.